Greetings! If you are here, you are one of the few people to actually read the description of the video. So it leads you here where I'm going to be putting this thing back together and hopefully it's going to work. I'm not going to try it in this video, but I am going to put it back together like I said, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about it, I think. I actually have a date on this board. I have, this is 2009 as well. There you go. Got my blower here to blow the dust out. And I brought some wet paper towels out to wipe things off that need it. And basically what I want to try to do here is figure out what I have happening here, okay? I already talked about it in the video. Hang on, let me blow the dust out of this. I think I need the brush in there too. I'm not a clean freak by any means. And this design here is a problem for that because those pipes are wide open on the top, right? So dust just naturally falls down. And then this has been down in my basement, not used for the past 5 years, and dust has been steadily falling down in there, right? We know, yes. So, like I said, this is the power amp here and the output stage, and I've got a few bent things in here. Like I say, the circuit is kind of a mystery to me now because like 10 years later, it's foggy. Anyway, I talked about it enough in the thing, I think. What I want to try to do is, like I said, figure out where all this goes. Now, this is the input right here. Comes, like I always put one of those little green screw terminal blocks there for the input, and this comes from this, which is the Linkwitz transform circuit. I'll pull that off and have a look at it because I didn't do that in the video. There's only one nut holding it on. You can see there's not much to this. Actually, it is quite complicated. It's got a couple of op amps in here, some passive components, and of course there is the power coming from here. Oh, and this has come undone here. You see, now that would have been a problem. It's a good thing I took that off there. I need a smaller screwdriver to tighten that back up. And no, it didn't come undone because it was tinned. Several comments on my automatic switch video where people said that you should not tin the wires when you put them in for a screw terminal because they will loosen up over time. Well, the situation there was that I think these weren't tight to begin with. Anyway, the situation there was that it was, I'm going to stop talking about that because it's not relevant. Input here from the back, the jack on the back here, that's the RCA connector, goes into this. It gets fucked around within here. This pot over here adjusts the center frequency, I think. I'm not sure because I can't remember. I have some documentation on this, but it's a lot to go through, so I didn't want to go through it for this. I thought I would just come out here and kind of puzzle it out, but that looks straightforward enough, and everything's hooked up again now, so I should be able to put it back on. So yeah, signal comes in here, it goes through this thing here, which separates those frequencies and boosts them. It's like a little equalizer board is what it is for bass. The soft start is here, and I should blow that off too. And that all looks like it's fine. Like the last time I used this, it was working, so it should still work. I had this thing when I was finishing anything like this. Like before I plugged it in, before I turned it on, I went like this and I blew on it like that. And this is something that I called the magical blowjob. If you can believe that. And what that did was, in my mind, if there was anything like a loose piece of wire or something in there that could short something out, then I would see that moving when I blew in there like that. That's what I call it, magical blowjob. Amazing stuff. So power, I'm going to just rotate this around a little bit. Not that you guys can see it anyway, the lens is too small, but the power comes in here. It goes to that big transformer down there. It also goes to this smaller one right here, which is the front end supply. We already covered that. There is a relay on here, which I'm not sure about. Like I say, I've got documentation on all this, but I just didn't bother to look it up. I should reach in there, make sure that all these connectors, these green ones that are on that secondary power supply board are tight again. A lot of comments in the video on the first amplifier there saying, why don't you get into this again? Well, this is a lot of work, and it's a lot of time mainly. I mean, it takes hours and hours and hours to do just the simplest thing. And if you run into a problem, you could be days. And I'm the type of person where I won't give up. Like, I'll give up temporarily, and then I'll sit down and I'll be thinking about it, and something else will occur to me that I have to try, and I'll go back to it. I'm like a bulldog almost. I get a hold of it. I don't let go until I actually do let go. But then at that time, I have to be well and truly sick of the problem. I mean, I'd have to be at the point where there's no way that I could figure it out. But I haven't ever been at that point, except for finding the slot in the screw here. The wire that comes out of here, it goes down and connects to this, goes to... Oh, that's the ground. See, I've got what's known as a star ground here. And this is this thing right here, this metal plate. Aluminum actually, and then it's the copper leads that are wired to the capacitors here are clamped down to that. So this is your star point. Whenever you're making an amplifier or something like that, well, any audio equipment, you're going to run into ground loop problems, and that's where you'll have that hum. You'll hear it often in guitar amplifiers mainly, and it can be hard to track down and avoid, but I haven't had a problem with it on this, and I certainly didn't have a problem with it on my other one. I did a lot of work to avoid it on that one, and then everything that I learned on that one, I just applied it here, made this one better. Why don't I just shut up and put this thing back together? That's what you guys are saying. You guys that are still here, that is. This is more stainless steel that goes around the bottom here. And I guess I glued it on with silicone, and that has released. So I'm gonna have to re-glue that. Should wipe some of this dirt out of here, clean it up. How did I do this? That was on before this, wasn't it? I don't know. Yeah, I think it was. I think I've got to put that back in place first. And again, the wires are too fucking short. Ugh. Yeah, guess what? I'm swearing again. I've got to release steam. Got to get it out. I don't even know if this is actually needed, but you know what? I took the time to make it, so I should put it in here. Except, how did it go? Again, was it open on the top? It couldn't have been open on the top. But then how did those wires come out? Were those wires coming out beneath that? What kind of a fucking snarled up mess have I got made here, man? This wire is supposed to go through this channel here. This is the speaker wire, but it's wrapped up around that wire in there. Maybe, yeah, that's it. Flip it around, that. So that's like that. And I'm kind of mystified about the box. How does the box go on there? Oh, the box goes on there in a wire because there's space there. I keep thinking that there's no space there. But there's space there, John. There's space between your ears, too. Stupid. I can admit that I'm not big on putting things back together after I take them apart. Really not a fan. Yeah, that wire comes up through there. These bolts and nuts hold this on. And if I'm ever in doubt, I can go in and look at the video. How much of this shit am I going to have to cut out of this to make this watchable? Or do you want to see it all? Let me know in the comments, the 200 or 300 people that actually watch this, whether you want to see shit like this again. I'm game. I can do it. It's like having it's like having somebody in the room that doesn't actually help you. It's like kind of sitting on a stool over there or a chair, drinking a cold beer while you're doing something really frustrating and they're watching and maybe laughing at you. That's what it's like here with the camera and you guys laughing at me. Me and my brother worked with a guy, not worked with, but worked for. It was super for a while, and then he went on to do these projects, but he used to say, you're laughing on me. You're laughing on me. Not laughing at me, laughing on me. Yeah, when you're making something like this that has so many different components, and then you're trying to put it in a cool case like I did here, you're really, shooting yourself in the foot, because look at all the crap I had to do here to get this situated so that it would, be reasonably organized in here. I don't know if I do it again. This is a cool looking case though. And it does work really well. I'm sure we get comments on the video saying that that chimney idea won't work, but it really does. So I got the box in place. That's awesome. I need to work on this thing next. I need to brush all the dust and the cobwebs and the dead bugs. And get my paper towel here that's wet, my moistened paper towel, and wipe this off. And these things that attach to the heat sinks here are just, I think this is a cover from a turntable, you know, the clear plastic cover. So they're thick plastic. And I was concerned when I did it that maybe they might break over time, but they seem to be holding up really well. Because believe me, the last thing you want is for this to break and for that to fall down onto that grounded metal cover and short out that 140 volts actually right there. 70 here, 70 there, plus and minus. Quite a violent spark. Do I have fuses in this thing? Kind of reminds me. Yeah, I have a fuse in the soft start. Very careful to do this stuff very safely, I guess you could say. Everything is protected and properly grounded. That's another thing. You can never be too careful, because the last thing you need to happen with something that's homemade like this is for it to start to catch on fire, especially when you're not home. And I have a tendency to leave these things on, like I said with the other amplifier, all the time, because it's not convenient to turn them off. Okay, so that's clean enough, right? And what this rubber thing does here is it covers this resistor thing I've got happening down here. And I'm pretty sure that that is for that fan. I don't know, probably. I gotta trust that what I did there before was good, because it did work. This in here. On there, and lay this down temporarily and make sure that rubber is situated properly. Can you hear what I'm saying? And line up the holes for the screws, and I think the screws were these ones here, pretty sure. And this one over here. Now that doesn't go there. I don't know what that screw is. Okay, those screws, I don't know. Are these screws for this up here? Or I gotta look at my inventory of screws here to make sure I'm not screwing up. I don't know what screws I had for what, because I've got two weird ones here that are definitely from another stereo. I scrapped several old pieces of audio equipment to get the screws out, because they're incredibly handy. I know what these are for, and of course I know what the nuts in those are for, but I don't need short ones on this, so I didn't put them in there. I probably have the short ones were up there. Okay, and then these are Phillips. They're not Terrence's, they're Phillips. Yeah, you get the typical old receiver or amplifier or even a tuner. Any of the old gear has a wealth of parts in there that you take for granted, like screws, really handy. Oh, I got a wire sticking out here, not good. And I don't know which is positive and which is negative. Oi! I gotta believe that they didn't move. I mean, they're oriented like that. That means that this one goes up through there and this one comes up through there. It'd be better if I had things marked, but you don't need to mark them when you're doing it, at the time, because you remember all this stuff. You don't forget it when you're doing it. And you certainly don't look, 10 years down the road when you're an old geezer trying to get the thing started up again. Okay, that's that thing screwed on. I was missing a screw over there. Maybe I should go and get, but no, I had that out of there for a reason. It was probably hitting that resistor network. So I'll leave that one off. Doesn't need to be there. And then this thing gets flipped upside down. Like so, and then the amplifier board fits down in that slot down inside there. Very tricky stuff, John. First I should get that quick connect thing for the ground plugged in. Man, I'm glad I put that on there, because otherwise this would be not manageable. So that's that, and looks like everything's good. Were these screws for back here? I think that's what those were for. Yeah, these are for the terminals. And then what are these things for? Oh, these are for the back? Oh, these are for the back on the bottom. We'll get there. Are you still here? Are you fucking crazy? Are you still here? See this magical blowjob? Now, the problem is I got two sets of holes here, and I don't know which ones I'm supposed to use, but I'll use these ones because that pushes the thing further ahead. That's what I would think that needs to happen. It's all right. Let's drop it on the floor. This is going to be a long video. You're telling me, you say. Where did I get that heat sink? I bought that heat sink for sure, because this is not a heat sink that I got from a piece of equipment. I don't think. It looks like something that's manufactured for the aftermarket, for the DIY market. I started building another 6-channel amp because I need one of those, another one of those. That's sarcasm, by the way. I don't really need another 6-channel amp. And I'm hoping I'm seriously hoping that this is... Okay, I didn't answer the question that I really need to answer when I was thinking about this before. Here on the front here, I've got a connector that has 2 of the 3 leads shorted. Unfortunately, I forgot about the 30-minute time limit, record time on the camera itself. I'm so used to using that over there. There's no time limit on that. So I missed some of the stuff I did at the end there, but I think it's, I don't know. Anyway, I'm screwing the back panel on here. I think the thing that I missed talking about, I just reviewed the footage that I had. I talked about the connector on the front here that I wanted to check on before I put this thing together and make sure what it was. But then I figured out what it is. It is for the power switch, like I thought it was. It's right here. There's a little jumper in there that keeps it on. And this goes over to the soft start board, and it's the reason for that relay. Anyway, I guess this is going to wrap this one up. Apparently I have more than half an hour worth of footage here to show, so that's more than enough. And I was going to take the time to repolish this case, clean it up and repolish it, but I want to make sure that I can get this fastened on here first, and I want to make sure that I can get that switch working before I do that. So it's going to have to stay looking rough, at least until I can get that done. On there. Very nice fit and finish on here. Everything is nice. The polished black really goes well with the stainless steel that I have on there, and the curved front really make it look good, I think. And the holes up on the top there, which is, I forgot to put this in, so I got to take it off again. That's the ground wire that connects to this metal cover that was supposed to be on over here. Let's flip that around and put that on. I can wash my cover so it doesn't fall down on the floor. And yeah, that just goes in there and it goes back to that screw there. So I'll undo that. I'll put that on and I'll let you guys go. And maybe in the next video I will actually turn this thing on. I don't want to make this channel 100% about this though, because I was thinking about getting back into this, like I said earlier, but it is a lot of relearning to go through. And the projects that, like this project here, like is a massive amount of work. And obviously, I mean, there would be some interest in me covering it, but it'd be like everything else. I mean, people don't want to see every little detail. And that's what this stuff is. This is a lot of detail, even more so than any other kind of woodworking that I've done. And the thing about the woodworking stuff is, for me at least, is that it's, I can do it by rote basically now. You know, pretty much without thinking. I rarely make costly mistakes. Whereas this here, it would take me a lot longer. Okay, the majority of the dirt off it. I think what I'm going to have to do with this to bring it back to its previous glory is to sand it down and then clear coat it. The way I painted this was nothing special about the paint, actually. It's not automotive paint or anything. I used just flat black, actually, you know, the rust paint that you buy, and I sprayed that on until I had nice even coverage, and I sanded in between coats. And then the clear coat that I used for this was water-based polyurethane, gloss though. And then after I had, I think, 3 coats of that on, I let that harden up for a number of days, and then I rubbed it out. And what rubbed it out means is you take progressively finer sanding sanding paper. What am I, 80? Sandpaper, I think I started with 1,500. I probably started with 1,000, and then I went to 1,500, and then I went to 2,000, and I think I stopped at 2,000, and I went directly to polishing compound on the buffer, and the polishing compound is what brings out this mirror type shine to it. It really looked good back in its day. I mean, it still looks reasonable, but not like it was. I mean, there's paint on here for fuck's sake, so I gotta get rid of that. I gotta bring it back to its hot rod status. See, that's what the way I looked at these things. These are not just pieces of audio equipment. These are like hot rods. This would be like your 32 Ford. You go out and you chrome plate everything and stuff like that, or do hand make all the parts for. Anyway, that's it for this one. Thank you for watching and bothering to read the description to watch it. Magical blowjob.